Mr. Collier, did you just get out of jail?
Yes, sir.
When? Okay, you didn't just get out of jail. When you come to court, come dressed appropriately. Shorts is not appropriate for court. It's a complete sign of disrespect. You understand? Okay, if you do it again, I'm gonna put you out. You're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir. All right? So,
Yes, Judge. On February 3rd, 2025, at approximately 11:53 p.m., the officer observed a vehicle on a public road with a defective front left headlamp, and the officer ran a check on the vehicle and it returned with unconfirmed insurance. A traffic stop was initiated, and the defendant quickly exited the vehicle, and the officer gave multiple commands for him to get back inside and shut the door. The defendant stated he wasn't going to, and the officer had no reason to pull him over. The defendant then walked back and got inside the vehicle, but held his feet outside the car and did not shut the door. From the officer's trained experience, he has seen situations where the driver would sit like that, then leap from the car and try to hurt officers, and the defendant put his feet into the car and the officer approached. The vehicle had 2 young children, but not a car seat, standing in the front passenger seat, and the officer asked the defendant several times for his name, and the defendant stated he could not because the officer was fucking with him. The officer informed the defendant of the legitimate reason for the traffic stop, and the defendant continued to refuse to provide his name. The officer asked the defendant to exit the vehicle, and the defendant then refused. The officer went to grab the defendant's wrist, and the defendant pulled away from the officer and other deputies. The deputies advised the defendant that he was going to be tased, and the defendant exited the vehicle. The defendant stated he wasn't going in handcuffs and resisted by tensing his arms and body and concealing his hands towards his front waistband. The defendant was taken to the ground where he continued to resist. After several commands, the defendant was going to be tased. The defendant finally put his hands behind his back.
Mr. Collier, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Can you run his license to see if he has a valid Texas driver license?
I'll run it right now, Your Honor. It's eligible, Your Honor.
Mr. Collier, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm not putting any conditions on your bond. Just be careful. You get into a pissing match with people who have the power of arrest. Who's going to win? You know what I mean?
So,
Just, it's a logical conclusion. That's all it is. Just be careful when you're out there. Life's hard enough. As an African-American in today's society, don't make it any harder, you know?
so,
You want to apply for an appointed lawyer?
so.
All right, I'm going to give you an application. I'll have you sign and reset with Billy. I'm not putting any conditions on your bond. Just be careful. That's it. All right? Come on, man.